is so unique that that like a subgenre of film and certainly a subgenre of literature that is always obscured and kind of on the periphery of everything else that's more successful. You know, this movie feels to me like when I watched it, I was like, this is all the ingredients of like a folk horror story, not a horror tale. Then it would be.
More elements in it.
But no, but it has.
Yeah.
But it's of a region and a time and experiments with you know, the immersion of sound and the immersion of well, certainly musical instruments that are comprised of an era used in a very creative way to make a big motion picture, but to do things very experimental, and I just thought that was really neat.
One of the benefits of DVDs and Blu-rays and others are all the special features for the documentaries and things like that. I'm just surprised that a lot of the streaming services don't offer that. I know that like Apple, I've been surprised because those things are only Fandango sometimes, but it's just not just kind of hit or miss.
It is hit and miss, yeah. They don't, like the bonus features and stuff aren't incorporated.
I mean, it's one of the reasons I think people buy the DVDs many
Yeah.
times, and you would think the streaming services would have the same thing. If you buy this, you'll also get this behind the scenes documentary.
Well, and it goes to back to context. You know, audiences today are interested in the movie or interested in the show. They don't have as much interest in why this was made or how this was made or what the intentions were when they made it. None of that was a thing. I mean, so I feel like, I mean, if you take something as successful as Stranger Things, for instance, you know, Netflix did go out of their way to make, in the end, a documentary. I would argue that that was made because they saw the end and thought, we need some extra thing to milk off of this. Stranger Things. So that has a documentary that provides some context, but I don't think traditionally people are that interested.
Now, Turner Classic Movies does
Yes.
quite a bit of that stuff, but a lot of 30-year-olds.
Well, I think there's a small segment though.
There is a small
who
segment. Yeah.
Always, when I saw Star Wars and I found the bonus disc of how they made it, I wanted to see George Lucas, and I wanted to see the sets, and I wanted to go to the places where they filmed it. So I think there's always going to be a segment of that. Not everybody. And some people was like, oh, well, that's good with me. I'm done with it. You know,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's always hard to predict what audiences want from anything specific.
Studios are in it to make money.
And so that when a title comes up that they say, hey, go to a bonus features store, there is a brief moment where I'm thinking, what would the audience want? What are the people buying this one would they want? Is a brief moment. And the next thing I think of is like, what do I want? You know, what do I want to see?
Well,
And I'm like, if I do my job well enough, the people will be happy with what they get. But ultimately, it's kind of me wanting to find out. And I think if I want to find out, then maybe I can take people along with that. And so that becomes the easiest way for me, because then I don't. You know, it's the reason why I've done features on movies like Battlefield Earth. You know, movie, you know, it's considered a flop, but it is a flop. I mean, it's considered a really poorly made movie. I'm more fascinated with, okay, how did that movie get to that place? And then in the process of talking to the director, talking to the writer, talking to the effects people, talking to the production designer, whatever, I gain a greater appreciation of the movie, and it becomes more than a movie. It becomes these people setting out to make something, and they failed at it. There's no shame in that. At least they tried. but it does change the way I look at it. And in some cases, it makes me appreciate the movie a little bit more, because I was looking at it, and everybody does this, and it's just by our nature. Everybody goes into watching a movie hoping that they get the movie that they would make, or the movie that they would imagine. And that's why we get disappointed most of the time, because we walk out like, that movie sucked, because it's not, if it's based on a book, the book is so much better, it's got all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. You have to tell yourself, that's your movie, that's your version. It's not their version. And that movie was not made with a committee of all these different people making sure that they make the version that you want to see, or that the majority of people reading this book want to see. Their job was to make the version that they got out of the book. And as you know, we all read different books, and we all interpret things differently. Not everybody interprets things the same way. And not even the author would interpret something the same way that would translate to a film.
Well, that's what's interesting when the author of the book writes a screenplay.
Right.
Of course, he's working within the constraints.
And he still had to fight. He still had to fight for what he wanted, because he was not Richard Matheson, this great author that everybody. And even then, I would argue that Richard Matheson was never incredibly popular and celebrated in a mainstream circle. I think it was always an author that, if you followed this genre, then you knew who it was, and if and he wasn't he had an amazing film and television career as a writer as well as just an author. So some of the best television I would say goes back to him. Whether it's stuff he did with Dan Curtis, stuff he did with Twice, I feel like there was always there's always this body of work that should be appreciated.
Did he write the screenplay for Dan Curtis's Dracula?
Yeah.
We saw that recently in Scream of the Wolf, which I was very disappointed in. I thought they copped out at the end.
Yeah.
But,
I think Curtis's Dracula is great. I think that the only problem that I had with it is that Jack Palance, I couldn't quite be convicted. And it's not. I think it's because I couldn't see him in that role, because I'd seen him in so many other things by that point. So I was like, that's weird. I would say if it was a Dracula's interpretation set in the Old West or something like that might be kind of cool. And but no, it just. It was hard. It's hard. But that's to say that he has an amazing voice. And he has an amazing presence. It's just the wrong presence and voice. But it's still. Dan Curtis is an enigma. I mean, his stuff is fascinating to me, because I think he took bold chances with stuff. And one of them was pretty experimental.
yeah. Well, when we watched both of those movies, I realized that, these were made for TV in the 70s. They're not going to be like werewolf movies today.
Yeah.
The Dracula movies. There's going to be the blood and the gore and the overt sex or explicit sex. It's made for TV in the 70s. It's not going to be the same.
But still great.
Still fun.
Yes.
And sometimes all we ask for is entertainment.
Well, that's pretty cool. What's
Peter Reyes.
Peter Reyes. And
He's made so many things.
And the guy who played his wacko friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought he was kind of
The big game hunter.
Yeah.
He was over the top, but that role called for being over the
Yeah.
top.
Well, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Feel free to, if you have any other questions, visit me at the table.